Hello and welcome to the Rose Garden of Secular Energeticists Global. If you're not familiar with what the Rose Garden is, ROSE is an acronym for the representatives of Secular Energeticism. And Secular Energeticism is a perspective that I've written about in my book called Matthew 10:10, Travels of an Awareness. It's not called Secular Energeticism, it's just called Energeticism. But soon after writing the book, I realized I had to add secular on there. And about the book and its title, if you're watching this one for the first time and you're not exactly in the know yet, Matthew 10:10 is my name and my birthday. It is the funny part of this very serious subject matter. And the Travels of an Awareness is a reminder of what we are, traveling awarenesses. So today, we are going to talk about Chapter 4, The Questions. So, if you didn't watch any of the previous videos on these earlier chapters, I'll remind you that the first 4 chapters of the book are preparatory. They lead up to Chapter 5. And Chapter 5 is a big one. I like to kind of separate this out for you so you know kind of what I'm talking about. Here we have basically like this. This is the first 3 chapters. They are preparatory for getting to Energeticism, Chapter 5, and then the rest is our kind of extrapolations of the perspective, how we use it. So, the first 4 chapters are a little bit of a challenge. They present objections. A lot of people can easily cease reading the book at certain points because it might not jibe with a person's current perspective. And who knows, I may just sound full of myself in the first couple chapters. I'm just kidding. So, yeah, we are looking at Chapter 4 today. And Chapter 4 is a pretty easy one. You know, once you've gotten through 1, 2, and 3, you kind of get relieved to get to Chapter 4 because it's pretty factual. Chapter 4 is where we reintroduce the fundamental questions of existence. If everybody's not familiar with the fundamental questions of existence, then it's kind of weird that we're existing, right? I mean, if you don't know what those questions are. Because we're existent beings, I mean, there's questions that we have about existence, and they're who are we, what are we, why are we, how are we, when are we, and why. Who, what, when, where, why, and how we are. Most of the time people say, wow, those are really deep questions. And I say, they're only deep because of all the BS that we've piled on top of those questions over a 300,000 year period. A lot of people out there will think in terms of a couple thousand years, or a few thousand years, or 5, or 6, or 8. But our development in addressing those questions and trying to ascertain our position together collectively on this planet has been a 300,000 plus year journey. So, in order to face reality again and try to re-ascertain or reassert what our position is, we have to bring up the questions, the fundamental questions of existence, and we have to re-answer them so that we get a new idea or a more clear, more current idea of what our position is. So, those fundamental questions, I've mentioned them already, but of course the chapter goes into more. Those 6 are just an easy way for you to talk to another person about these fundamental questions. Very quickly off of those questions come other questions such as, do we live on past this life? Or, you know, what is the absolute meaning of life? That's one of the fundamental questions. Why are we here? But we have to bring up all these questions so that we can re-answer them. And that is what Chapter 4 does. It's pretty short, if I remember correctly. Yes, I wrote the book. But yeah, I made it very, very short. So it's only, that. You know, just a few pages, just to remind you of what those fundamental questions of existence are. You'll get to see those questions again in the hidden chapter, Chapter 8, The Answers. And then when we get to Chapter 5, that's when we have the 28 tenets of secular energeticism that are there to answer those questions. They're very short statements, and we'll talk about that next. Appreciate you watching this video regarding chapter 4 in Matthew 10:10, Travels of an Awareness. You can get my book on Amazon. You can go to my website. You can follow all kinds of fun things on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. This is the revolution. I call it a revolution. It is a revolution. It's always been a revolution that people are rethinking their position and our collective position and where we think we are. So, those are the questions. That's chapter 4, and we'll see you next time.